What's up, y'all? It's TTC, aka the ThunderConductor, and we back for another YouTube video and Twitch stream. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow and ring the bell. I got a question for y'all. What is your favorite dragon commander in cEDH? Some people gonna say, hey T, isn't the best dragon deck Zergo Nojitai has the best records on EDH top 16 and da-da-da-da-da? But some people gonna say, hey, nah man, forget the records. Sign of the Dragon just got a new 1-card combo. But some people gonna say, hey T, I already know what you're gonna say. The best dragon in cEDH is obviously Turbo Tiamat. If you all are not familiar, I did a recent deck tech on this brew that I made that talked on all the new inclusions, namely the from the recent printing of Dracogenesis, this super powerful enchantment that says for 6 colorless and 2 red, you may cast dragon spells without paying their mana cost. And this means if we cast our powerful commander from the command zone, it says flying. When Tiamat enters, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library, okay? This means we cast Tiamat for free, then we follow that up with any of the dragon combos, whether it be leveraging Bladewing the Risen with either Saw in Half or Phyrexian Metamorph to do infinite ETBs with Terror of the Peaks, whether that's going down some unique hoarding Brute Lord line. Like, honestly, it's the possibilities are endless. And honestly, I just been having a blast brewing this. I'm not gonna lie, like it's been so much fun, and honestly, like, I just want to get into everything because it's been a full month since I've been playing this deck and I have a lot of amazing updates. But let's just start from the top. All right, TTC, you've been playing this for a little bit of time now. That's cool. What's your win rate, dude? All right, so my win rate right now with the list is after about 28 games, almost about a game a day. You know what I'm saying? We are looking at a 52% win rate at a winning turn of about 4.4. Now, some people will say 52%, that's too good to be true. Nah, we'll get to that in a second. And also some people will say, I thought this was a turbo deck. Well, I want to first get into a game lesson that I learned. Namely, is going against blue pods, heavy blue pods, where each 3 opponents are blue, where we got like a cannon, a blue farm, and then like a TNT. Blue pods means winning protected is a greater priority, and especially if you're not in those earlier turn seats, you want to win with like a silence effect plus some backup or multiple pieces of interaction, or even try to win after a player's already gone for it. That means there's been some games that we have had the win in the hand and just sat back, used our politics, used our interaction, and then finally untapping and being able to win. All right. The other game lesson that we've learned from this, and the reason why our winning turn has got scooched a little bit farther back, has been the power of just taking those hands that have draw engines. That is a hand that initially I wasn't really taking. You know, like I could see a turn 1 Esper, but I was like, nah, I'm trying to get the gas. And though I don't think I was completely wrong, especially once again in those blue heavy pots, where even if we do have that gas turn 1, 2, or 3 win, like sometimes unprotected, most times protected, I found at the end of the day, hey man, my first 7 or second 7 has a turn 1 Esper and then as a Vampiric Tutor. I can put, and like has some good mana. I can put something together with this, whether it's just trying to move into 5 mana turn 3 protected Dream Halls or whatever I can get off the Esper, or maybe I can get a turn 2 Rhystic down. And so what ended up I found is, in yes, we still had a lot of turn 2 and turn 3 protected wins, but in those games, now that our opponents knew that we were a turbo deck, we said, all right, cool, y'all know we were a turbo deck. I already hear the pregame politicking. I'm gonna just chill out. I'm just gonna go ahead and take my time. I'm gonna take my time and just do it out. And that's what got us that average winning turn of 4.4, but still a great phenomenal win rate of 52%. And I'll just keep it a stack. TTC, how the heck you winning 52% of the times? Well, unfortunately, it could have been higher, but unfortunately, we were still learning how to pilot our own deck. So all jokes aside, what happened was The first few games we were losing because we were just trying to get a feel of our deck, especially in those blue pots. They were super tough. However, once we got our swing of the deck, we were able to leverage our patience, our politics, that's a big one, and our prowess, which is our actual game skill, to get to the victories. You know, it's been really fun playing the list. Honestly, if I can just say off the top of my dome, what has been the hardest thing about playing like this list specifically, it's truthfully been like, man, it's been like the mulligans. You know what I'm saying? Like, the mulligans aren't terrible, they're not bad, but it's kind of like, the mulligans, there's something that just, thank you for the follow. The mulligans are tough for this list because we don't leverage our command zone for any value. So it's kind of like, dang, man, like, that's the scariest part of the game. Once we get past the mulligans, I'm like, oh, I'm Gucci. So that's me just keeping the stack. That's the experience I've been having with this list. All right. So next things. All right, TTC, you saying 52% win rate after 28 games. Your average win rate is 4.4. Winning turn is 4.4, so between 4 and 5. But you're saying you're still getting a lot of turn 2, turn 3 wins. Okay, all right, cool. The list is working, and you're learning how to be patient even in the turbo list. What's the most common win content? Like, what is really showing up? Well, yeah, I could show you all that straight up. I'm going to tell you all already. We'll kind of skip a little bit ahead, like the switch outs. We added in the really, really powerful Dragonstorm to accompany our super powerful Dracogenesis. So what ended up happening is that honestly, this has been a powerhouse, and when it comes to it, kind of goes hand in hand with our most impactful card, which is Treasonous Ogre. Like, Treasonous Ogre being able to go like, hey, I can, and there's this new fun Treasonous Ogre art. I fucking love this shit. I gotta make some proxies for that. Shout out to TC Proxies. But what I love about this is this, for only 4 mana, I can cheat out my Dracogenesis or my Dragonstorm as soon as turn 2, most times. Really as soon as turn 1, but most commonly on turn 2. And literally we just chill. And so because it's like we only need about 24 to 27 life to be able to get that done, to get the 8 to 9 mana, that means we only need to be at 30 life to really get it going. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a hard ask to get going. And that's actually the reason why a lot of other switch outs happen. And we'll talk about that in a second. We'll get to it, I promise. But that's honestly Treasonous Ogre has really been that most impactful card, showing up in 53% of all of our wins, as well as Dragonstorm and Dracogenesis just being a part of 73% of our wins, has shown by far, hey, this is a powerhouse. This card is needed. These cards are super powerful, and being able to both cheat my dragons on the board or just cast them all for free has been muy delicioso. Okay. And last part is when it comes to our most common finisher. I talk about this all the time. There's a difference between a win con and a finisher. Coming in at 80% of our finishers has been Tear of the Peaks. Tear of the Peaks, if you all are not familiar, Tear of the Peaks says for 3 colors and 2 red. It has flying. It's a 5/4 creature, and it says spells your opponent's cast that target this creature cost an additional 3 life to cast. We don't care about that. All we care about is that last ability that says whenever another creature you control enters, this creature deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. This creature has been phenomenal, and it's honestly showed up in 80%. Truthfully, it's 80% of our wins are we just finished the game off with Tear of the Peaks. And I can already tell you all something, the other 20% has been with Thassa's, whether I'm doing, we've talked about this in the original deck tech, like World Gorger Dragon with a Surveil Land to mill ourselves out, then bringing back a Thassa's Oracle, or just going Tainted Pack Thassa's Oracle, or getting Thassa's Oracle with a Hoarding Broodlord. There's a lot of different lines, but Thassa's Oracle has been the other 20%. And a really fun fact that I end up learning about this list has been truthfully that I originally wanted to have I used to advocate to 3 to 4 finishers. You want to have options in case they get stripped or get taken away. My backup finisher, if I lose Tear of the Peak and Thassa's, is Orcish Bowmasters with some kind of World Gorger Dragon shenanigans. What I ended up finding though is honestly, these 2 win cons are more than enough. And that though I don't see myself taking Orcish Bowmasters out, I definitely do see myself not needing a 4th finisher. The main one being, if you are not familiar with this card, Meat Hook Massacre. Here it is. This is the third finisher I was looking at including, namely for this second ability that says when a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. And this was an amazing card that basically said, hey, yo, this allows me to basically another way to win through the One Ring protection in addition to Thassa's Oracle. And I really loved it, and it was really cool. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I probably need it. Plus the board wipe. We'll get into the board wipe I decided to add in a second. But all these cool things. But as I played the game and I realized like, oh shit, I don't need a 4th finisher. I can just add more gas into my deck to make my list more consistent. Like, and we'll get to it. Really in my head, I was thinking if my best finishers are these high CMC cards and the best card in my deck is Treasonous Ogre, I need more copies of Treasonous Ogre in my 99 to support my finishers. But yeah, that's just a lesson I learned. Like, and this may not be for every list. Some lists that like to leverage Tainted Pack and Demonic Consultation as forbidden tutors, you may want to have a 4th finisher. For this list where we're not often using Tainted Pack, we're not on Demonic Consultation, but we're not usually exiling chunks of our library. And even if our opponents were to take away, we still have take away like a Terror of the Peaks, we still have an Orcish Bowmasters. I was like finding like, hey yo, I think we're good. And so as of right now, just having the 3 finishers and never even having to use OBM as a finisher has just been muy delicioso. Like, it's come up in my playtest, but in the actual games, it just gets the job done. And it very last thing that I would love to touch on, at first I felt like it had a bottleneck. Like, the reason I would still recommend that you run 3 finishers, at least 3 finishers in your list, is because if your opponents know that they only need to get rid of 2 cards out of your list, people still pray if your opponents know that they need to get rid of 2 cards in your list, they can easily Praetor's Grasp or any other hate like Graveyard Hate or Deck Hate cards to remove your ability to finish the game via combo, which we're in a combo central format. So always keep that in mind, having 1 extra backup plan to get it done. And I will say honestly, in addition, technically I do have a 4th finisher, which is Commander Beats. I actually had a game that ended in a tie because of some mishaps, but I was finishing off the table with Tiamat, Commander Beats, and just casting dragons. And though it was one of the very earlier games where I'm still figuring out my flow with the list and how to win protected, it truthfully, honest to God, was an awesome like thing to see. Like, oh my gosh, y'all, Tiamat and Dragon Beats is a real thing. So I like to call that creature beats and not non-creature pings and whatever it's called, non-creature pings and creature beats. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like to call it, when you just go straight to, I'm just going to try to do as much damage to the table before they can like stop me. So awesome lesson, awesome things to just keep in mind. So the last thing I want to also bring up before we get into our full switch outs from our last deck, because I just want to bring up something real amazing that I love you all to always tell you all. If you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Starting off our TC community, it is an amazing free to join Discord community. Check the link out in the bio. We do everything from jam games, talk spoilers, and brew, and so much more. So check that out, link in the bio. But if you want extra perks like playing on our live streams, free proxies and discount codes, as well as shoutouts on our YouTube videos and streams, I want to encourage you all to please check out the TC Thunder Legion Patreon community. These guys rock, and they keep the lights on the way in a way that they could not imagine. Huge shout out to our first Jeska tier patron, Sir Trekkie, as well as our Is It tier patrons, Ziggy and the Praetor, and our Mana tier patrons, Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxon, and B-Rad. All of these fellas rock, and they keep the lights on the way they could not imagine. And last but not least, you say, hey T, I ain't really trying to be part of no Patreon community, but I'm just trying to like better understand your list and connect with you. Hey, if none of that fits and you don't want to also buy me a coffee, check that link out in the bio. Also check out the link in the bio to also get options to be able to get some coaching from me. I've been coaching people on how to navigate this turbo list as well as other amazing things. So if you're looking for opportunities to get in the TTC's minds when it comes to politicking, navigating the game, and navigating this ever-growing meta, please check out the link in the bio for that. But with that said, let's get back into it. I just want to make this very clear. This is always easier said than done, but we made a lot of changes. All right. So starting off, what have we changed from the list since last time? And it's been 11 cards. It's been really, really crazy. And just like experiencing these changes has been phenomenal, but we got to get into them. So let's get into it. All right. Starting off, The first change we did is we added in Phyrexian Metamorph over Orcish Lumberjack. First of all, there was a lot of changes between Orcish Lumberjack. I personally am not running it because it just always felt a little weird in the 99. Like, because I'm 5 color and I'm not always looking for a Taiga, those two are my 3rd and 4th lowest colors in my deck. I just always felt weird playing it. So I had to almost like navigate my first fetch to be a red source, navigate my second fetch to be some green source, to be at a sack of forest to get all the mana, the explosive mana, which is great, but it still was kind of tough. I was always looking for a replacement to like make it better, but after all soul searching, I said, I gotta add in Phyrexian Metamorph. Everything from being able to copy the One Ring to comboing all the way with Blade Wing the Risen with infinite ETBs. I love this card. It just gets the job done. It just really is clean. It's not much else I can say to it. Not to mention, a huge thing about this inclusion is it upped our blue card count to 17 cards total, including Force of Will. Blue card fun fact. If you all are not aware, the minimal blue card count needed to support Force of Will I found in my games is you want 16 blue cards in your library plus Force of Will, being 17 cards total. So if you're wondering like, hey, I'm trying to play my at least Force of Will. I'm not on Force Negation. I'm not on my Surrection. I'm just on the one pitch spell, but it's just not feeling good. Like I'm drawing my Force of Will with no other blue cards. You probably need to get to that 17 card sweet spot. And with normal draws and other things, I usually find consistently in my games, ever since adding one more blue card, that is the perfect amount of blue cards to be able to consistently just be able to have my Force of Will online each game. Ever since making this change, I have not had a problem. Okay. So that's switch out number 1. Switch out number 2, very easily, it was a Gemstone cavern, Gemstone mine. We ended up taking this fellow out for a Tarnished Citadel pretty simply. With my games, some of my games taking longer, losing the land was not phenomenal. And outside of Treasonous Ogre, we're really not using our life total too much. So it's just like, lose 3, 4, 6, 9 life. It's not the end of the world. We have win cons that don't include our life total, so even if it is too low, it's okay. And by the time we get to the mid game, we can just use this for its colorless tap ability. So awesome switch, super simple. We get that done. Now, our next big switch out from our list was we took out Overgrown Tomb, which is just the black green shockland. We took that out and just added in Otawara. Now, I will note about this one, the reason we took out Overgrown Tomb was kind of similar to when we took out to Orcish Lumberjack. Because Orcish Lumberjack came out, I didn't need as many green sources. I did love the black and blue are my top colors, but what I ended up finding is I kept switching between Otawara and what is the red green? Yeah, Wooded Foothills. So what I ended up finding is I kept switching between Otawara and Wooded Foothills, trying to make sure that I didn't have too many single color sources of land, but Wooded Foothills be still that technically 4 color land, because I don't run Plateau or Savannah to be able to like get a white source of Wooded Foothills. So the reason I'm currently on Otawara over Wooded Foothills is because I wanted that extra piece of removal. I'm not on a lot of spot removal. And even though it is 4 mana to be removal, it's 4 mana uninteractable removal that even though this is not our main job, we can still stop our opponents behind the silence effect. So awesome switch out. And then we get into our next, and this is the big kahuna switch out. And the first one is we took out Abrupt Decay for Dragonstorm. You're going to notice this trend a lot. We ended up taking out a lot of interaction for more adaptability. And so what I ended up finding after, I have to give flowers to this, I saw this card for the first time from Dracomancer, the Zergo and Ultra-Tide pilot, that I'll tag that deck tech up here. Dracomancer just put me onto this card. I saw it, but I was like, there's no cEDH deck that can run this. But since I was seeing so much success with Dracogenesis and this just being 1 more mana, I start to explore it, like what were the lines to make this viable and all the cool things. And we'll get into that in a second, but just know the number of lines that this can be put together all together, even with just a storm of 1, is ridiculous. And honestly, do not miss the ability to destroy an uncounterable 3 mana speller down easily. This is just all day, every day. Dragonstorm is phenomenal, and I question that force is a 9 mana card. It's good. I actually had a game that I played yesterday that literally just hard casted a Dragonstorm from hand. It's crazy, but the list is able to really push out these 8-9 mana cards even straight from hand. And my favorite part about this card is that it kind of protects itself. I bring up the game that I won yesterday. I was seed 4 on Tiamat against a seed 1 and 2 TNK, and I was in seed 3 was a Kennen. And these guys had explosive starts, doing a lot of crazy things. It was a lot of things, but my ability to just get my storm up to X equals 2, even after a player countered one, it was literally just the epitome of, well, I got a Simian Spirit Guide in hand, so I'm just going to grab a Dragonlord Dramoka, a Hoarding Brute Lord, and I'm going to use this Simian Spirit Guide to do the Saw and Half combo, protected by the Dragonlord Dramoka. It was so fire, and the whole table was like, damn, yeah, he got it. And it was just the epitome of the storm protected the spell itself, and it forces your opponent to go Flusterstorm or Mindbreak Trap or bust. You know what I'm saying? And so it was really phenomenal to be able to get that win along with all the other wins that I've seen with Dragonstorm. Okay, so next removal, we are still on that train. We took Miscast out for Noxious Revival. Noxious Revival, for like if you're not familiar, is put target card from a graveyard onto top of its owner's library. So it's kind of interaction for interaction, but what I will say about this switch out is that Miscast, and we'll even get to this one, Spell Pierce as well. These being able to pay out of being countered has never been my favorite effect, and being able to add Noxious Revival, add in another way to say, hey, say I only have one land drop and it's a fetch land. I can go land, fetch, play my draw engine, or play whatever I want, and then Noxious Revival the land drop if I don't get a land drop with that draw engine to make sure I make my second land drop. So it's a second land drop, first of all. It's a piece of interaction against any player who's going for that Thassa's win, and they like, all right, ask Abel, can someone remove the Thassa's Oracle because I can increase their devotion? Or I can increase the size of their library. So that's another great thing. Not to mention, it's just it being a free spell, being able to increase our Dragonstorm storm for free, just for 2 life. Fucking love it. It's amazing. Just know it just gets the job done. Okay. Now, as we continue, we've already brought this spell up, but we took Spell Pierce out for Borne Upon the Wind. Now, this is one of the switch outs that's not as solidified because I haven't really had to use it yet. I have won an instant speed with Necromancy and Wargorger Dragon to be able to do the Surveil and Necromancy Wargorger Dragon loop. However, I will say notably that I wanted more ways to win an instant speed, so I took Spell Pierce out because I wasn't really feeling it, but I had to switch a blue card out for a blue card. So just know that this one's kind of like on the line of like, do I want to keep it? Do I want to let it go? It may stay, it may leave, but just know for now, it's not a terrible card. I think it's phenomenal. Being able to just be even a 2-mana cantrip is phenomenal. I love that, as well being something to pitch to my Chromox or my Force of Will. That is also the biggest thing, but the main part of the card is being able to win at flash speed, at instant speed, is really phenomenal. So still going to keep play testing it. I really love the idea of it because we don't have, like I said, outside of the setup of Entomb into Necromancy, we don't have other ways to win at instant speed. So I'm running it because I really think you have to run more instant speed effects for the meta we're in, but I could see this spell being replaced with something else in the future, namely being a blue card, as maybe if we see we need more removal or more things, but it has to be a blue card. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Our next switch out this is a heavy hitter. This is a big one. Okay. We took Replenish out for the One Ring. And so you're saying, T, part of how you sold me on the list was literally because we could do the Entomb effects with the Replenish with the Dracogenesis or the Dream Halls. Like, dude, like that was what you saw. That's what got me onto the list, because I could do the Replenish lines and everything. And I hear you. Just hear me out. Okay. With Replenish, it's not a bad card. Not at all. It's not a bad card. Not at all. What I ended up finding though is that Replenish, I never ended up doing the lines. Like in my playtest, and there was some times where it was cool, but I never was doing the lines, and I was never fully blown out because I'm personally a patient player. But what I did find is I suffered in the mid game, and I wasn't drawing enough cards, and I would have to sit in those games either hoping to top deck a draw engine, and when I did, I was really doing great, or I'd have to just use all politics and no card draw. And so I ended up saying, okay, let me just talk and think about the One Ring a little bit more. Okay, not only is it, if I get it down turn 1 to 2, it can get me into the game, say if I'm in a low mode, not to mention all that, I can also notably combo this with a World Gorger Dragon. So if I'm winning with World Gorger Dragon, this allows me to infinitely draw my deck. And so I can end with a Thassa's Oracle or just make infinite mana with World Gorger Dragon and then stop the combo and then follow that up with, whether it's with the board upon the win or whatever, just play my spells and do my thing. And so I just really saw this as like a powerful effect that helps us be more mid-range viable as well, while remaining like still a turbo deck. Notably, I don't know if you all noticed, but our description changed a little bit. Literally, if you remember, we said before, like, you want to be turn 2 unprotected, turn 3 protected. And I changed this to, you want to present turn 2 to 3 protected wins with Tear the Peace, Thassa's Oracle, and Orcish Bowmasters. Now, this does not mean you cannot ever present unprotected wins. I literally had 3 unprotected wins at one at the beginning of this week and 2 last week. And it was because I saw the window. My intuition as a cEDH player was good enough. I was like, all right, this is a good window. Let's just try to take it. But what I ended up finding, though, is once again, those heavy blue pods. It's so common in our format that you want to be able to understand when it's like, nah, this is not a game to try to jam out that turn 3 win with 1 piece of protection. All my opponents know I'm a turbo deck. They are already talking before the game. They know what's coming. So I'm just going to progress this One Ring instead, or I'm going to keep drawing off a One Ring or a Ristic Study or an Esper or a fish that I already got down. I'm just going to be patient. Like I say, the 3 Ps: patience, prowess, and politics. And if you want the 4th one, perseverance, if you're a tournament player, because some of those games and that the whole day gets long. Okay. So just keep this all in mind. I have been loving the One Ring, and honestly, I do not miss Replenish. I've been very blessed. So when I present my wins, I just haven't been, Dream Halls or Dracogenesis fully blown out. I have not missed it. And it's okay. You know, usually if I lose one, I just think in my head, let's just keep moving forward. Let's not try to get it back. Let's just find another win con. Notably, the reason why we are not on Savine's Reclamation, that same mindset of, instead of trying to bring stuff back out the graveyard, which we can, we have a lot of reanimation effects for creatures, but instead of trying to get our enchantments and other artifacts from the graveyard, let's just keep moving forward. This win con got stopped. Okay, cool. We have other win cons to go for. And of course, even before we get to that placement of line, understand that a big thing is just like finding the best window, and do you have enough protection and all that. But that's a conversation for another day. All right, so after the One Ring add-in, we ended up taking out, and this is a big one, we took out Carpeted Flowers, a card that I've never been a huge fan of, for Culling Ritual. So let's talk about both sides. Carpeted Flower is in the category of cards that is, I need my opponent's board states to be, or I need my opponents to be doing something in order for me to get this effect. And Culling Ritual is a similar thing, but when we think about it, even blue players, unless they're mono blue, they don't always have specifically islands aboard. And once you play the carpet, like I found in my play testing, that the best time to play carpet is not on turn 1, but on like turn 2, 3, or maybe 4, depending on when you're trying to capitalize it, because then people are already just playing their islands. They don't care. They grab their UC, they grab their Valk. They don't mind because they don't know there's a carpet coming. And then you hit the carpet, and unless they sack their land with like a what's it called? A crop rotation, or someone both stages it to lower the island count, then at that point they're just going to play around it. And there's too many effects that make blue sources, being like our 5 color lands, and that people can play around Carpeted Flowers effectively. So that was my reason why I didn't really love Carpeted Flowers. On the flip side though, Culling Ritual, well, TTC, I remember you may have said this before, but you kind of didn't want to, you trying to be a turbo deck and like, why are you on Culling Ritual now? You know, Culling Ritual is not always making a huge amount of mana on turn 2 and 3. Sometimes it will, but not all the time. Like some people, sometimes the beginnings are slow, you know what I'm saying? So why are you on Culling Ritual? Well, the only reason I ever entertained it was because of that number I told you all before, which is 53% of my wins come from Treasonous Ogre. So I went in the old noggin, the TTC noggin, was like, all right, hold on now. How can I put another Treasonous Ogre in my list without just adding in another tutor? Because I already had a bunch of tutors. So then, how can I how can I add another Treasonous Ogre? And I was real with myself. The effect I'm looking for is Culling Ritual. A, because it's a board wipe and I had 0 board wipes in my list. And B, because it's a 4 mana card. It's a big mana generator that goes from 4 mana to a high level of black and green mana. And yeah, it can't by itself cast Dragonstorm, or it by itself can't cast Dracogenesis. But what it can do by itself is, for example, it can get out our Hoarding Broodlord. So if our Culling Ritual makes 10 mana, you can cast Hoarding Broodlord for 8 and convoke out a Saw and a Half for 10. Which you say 10 is kind of ridiculous. It's crazy. People are playing so much to the board lately. It is absolutely ridiculous the amount of mana that this spell creates. But then you say, all right, TTC, what if you don't have Hoarding Broodlord in hand? I'm glad you asked. Don't worry. Other ways we can just capitalize is leveraging our Entomb effects with our reanimation effects. So Lively Dirge, Reanimate, Unmarked Grave, Entomb, Necromancy, Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead. We can have our full mono black, not to mention our tutors like Wishclaw Talisman, Demonic Tutor, and all the like Imperial Seal with the top way to draw it. Like there's so many ways we can leverage our this black and green mana to just go from a big Culling Ritual to end of the game. I really said, let me just give this card at least the good old, like, let's just give it a try. You know what I'm saying? And what I ended up finding after all of these experiences, after all of these things happened, is what I ended up finding is like, oh, yo, this is like by far an amazing card. And not just winning the game, but just setting us up where we wipe the board and put it in a commanding state. Notably, the most impactful game was truthfully with we had a game where I was player 3 and player 4 was set to win on board. They were playing the Scion 1-card combo, and basically with the board, the situation we were in, where it was we had to go get Culling Ritual because they had a Bloom Tender, they had rocks, they had a Kennen, they even had OBM in their Orc army on board, just getting all this value. And because of the new Scion combo, they were basically set to just cast Scion, tap their Bloom Tender for 5, and use the extra mana from Kennen to just immediately win on the turn. And so Culling Ritual not only saved the table, a sorcery speed option, because I saw it coming up before I got into my turn, it was our turn 5. I was able to cast a Culling Ritual and my opponent was able to protect it. And I told them, all right, I'm going to cast 2 spells. And those 2 spells following that up was an Orcish Bowmasters and an Animate Dead on my opponent's Orcish Bowmasters. It just turned into a wreck. And so after some politics, I digress. It was not an easy sell to allow me to have double Bowmasters, but it was going to keep them from from using the Savine's Reclamation already in their graveyard being played for, from bringing back their pieces. So it was long talks, but basically Culling Ritual is phenomenal. I've already been seeing it in games, and it's been phenomenal. It is the if I can land card, game over. And notably, just fun fact, it kills our Voice of Victory, because Voice of Victory is notably 2 mana, but it doesn't kill our Dragonlord Dramoka. So that's a really cool thing to say, like, hey, where you couldn't use Culling Ritual with Grand Abolisher or Voice of Victory, maybe you can use it with Ranger or the other big mana silence effects. The cool thing I love about this is that you can progress a Dragonlord Dramoka or already have it out, and then Culling Ritual to get rid of any troublesome stacks pieces and keep it pushing. So I love that effect. I love it. All right, so we're getting close to the end, and speaking of ways to protect ourselves with green mana, our next switch out is we took Defense Grid out for Destiny Spinner. Okay, now this switch out is because of my play style. I play a lot to my hand, and what will end up happening is there'll be some games, because I have a 7-man commander, I don't have any creatures on board. And yes, I added in I added in the One Ring to be able to have a turn of protection when people kind of have like a lot of stuff going on. But I felt like I needed another creature, but I didn't want to fully lose the power Defense Grid, especially right after adding Culling Ritual, because being able to go Culling Ritual, Defense Grid is really great. So I love I can get a silence effect with, I love that I can get a silence effect or a mini silence effect with Enlightened Tutor, And I loved all the effects, and I love that it can be cast with Culling Ritual, but I just needed more blockers in Defense Grid. It just sits in your hand until you're ready to win. So what I ended up doing is I pivoted. I'm like, okay, hold on. I wanted to be able to be a blocker. I needed to be, and you already see it on the screen, but I needed to be able to be a blocker, and also I needed to be able to protect what I had going on. And so I just pivoted and said, all right, for sure. And I didn't want it to be more mana, and I need to be easy to cast. So I was like, all right, well, let's just, after all the search, I just wait, I'm overthinking this, Destiny Spinner. And so I have not seen the game yet. So you all, this is another similar to Borne Upon the Wind. It's kind of on the skirt line. I want to give just the honesty of like, it can be stopped by a swan song. And so don't think this is eternal, not to mention Mind Break Trap gets around it. But where all these weaknesses comes in, also recognize that there are strengths to this card. Okay, so we got the weaknesses of it can be countered by Swan Song, and technically your opponents can still bounce it to counter things, and it's not invulnerable, like where Defense Grid kind of stops people from casting spells or a silence effect. But what I do like about it mainly is because a big weakness of this deck is when I'm trying to win with Dream Halls and Dracogenesis, I'm casting spells without spending mana cost. And one of the very popular cards in our format is called Vexing. Say it with me, class. 1 second, as the internet decides if it wants to work. Vexing Bauble. This is a super common card that we see in the format. And unless they and people just can cast it turn one, stop your early game progression. But what this basically says is you can't win with Dracogenesis TCC, and you can't win with Dream Halls. And as a turbo deck, I don't love that because it's only a 1 mana spell. It's super easy and it's super disruptive. But now with Destiny Spinner, it says not only can our creatures not be countered, our enchantment can't be countered. So not only does this protect our Dream Hall or Dracogenesis when it's on the stack, it also says that every time that we cast the Tiamat, cast the Terror of the Peace, cast Hoarding Brute for free, Vexing Bauble will say, hey, whenever a player casts a spell for free, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. But then our Destiny Spinner says, yeah, but my spells can't be countered. And so they dink and they keep it pushing. So I love this effect. Two shout outs to the same person. I'm gonna give a huge shout out to Havargo. Did a coaching session with him, and he's actually deciding to run. First shout out to be Vexing Shusher. It is another Vex effect. Vexing Shusher, if it will. Vexing Shusher, he's shooting to run Vexing Shusher over Destiny Spinner. We're gonna talk once we get some more data, but he likes it because it's harder to counter. Not to mention you can use it as a political tool, and it protects any spell. So this can protect our dragons, a Dragonstorm, and other powerful effects as we're playing the game. And like I said, I'm choosing to run Destiny Spinner right now because of the powerful effect of cast it, and I don't have to pay any more mana to it, as well as the Line Tutor, and being able to be grabbed with the Line Tutor and all the other things. And I love all those effects. And mainly once I cast this, I don't have to worry about mana, and it can protect me through the Vexing Bauble shenanigans. And that is also something that Havargo brought up to me, and I was like, oh shit, you're right. I wouldn't even think about that, because usually when the Vexing Bauble comes down, that's when Politics TTC come out. I'm looking at the first opportunity, where I'm like, hey, so-and-so said they got an interaction. Can you please make sure you hold up a mana for that Vexing Bauble? And I'm just gonna leave it like that, and when the opportunity comes, we just gonna get rid of it. So I love that. So Destiny Spinner, once again, similar to Borne Upon the Wind, have not seen the actual game yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Okay, our last two switch outs. Okay, our last two switch outs are Guttural Response out. One that I was really bullish on, and I'm still pretty bullish on in a heavy blue meta. I added an Untimely Malfunction. I do want to note that I first took Guttural Response out for Deflecting SWAT, the free to cast commander spell that is basically the best redirection counter spell period in our format. But because I'm a 7 mana commander, I'm not often going to be seeing this. The reason I'm actually choosing Untimely Malfunction over that is not just because the first ability that says destroy an artifact. So bye-bye Grafdigger's Cage. Not even just for the third ability, for the 1 or 2 target creatures can't block this turn. So bye-bye blockers when we're going team at beats. I especially love that second ability that says chain the target of target spell or ability with a single target. And that reason I love this is because I have to diverge, but I'll come back. Brewers advantage is phenomenal, and I love it. But every time I win a game, and it's because my opponents weren't ready for a certain card or a certain technique, I take note of that. Is not, oh, ha, 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 I got you. I take note as like, oh, shit. Next time I play that player, they're going to be ready for it. I'm expecting them to play at a high level. And whether they play at that level or not, I digress. I'm expecting my high-level opponents to say, hey, be aware of this. And one of the biggest creatures that people weren't aware about, I'm just so pondered about, is Dragonlord Dromoka. If you are not familiar, this is 4 colorless and green-white. This spell can't be countered. Flying lifelink. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Especially with Dragonstorm, this cheating it on the board as our first dragon that we put down. Our opponents aren't prepared for this, and so what ends up happening is they're either going to be more aggressive about stopping us when we're doing our Dragonstorm or whatever not. But the more thing to be worried about is channel effects, because this is not Grand Abolisher. They can still activate abilities, they can still channel their cards, and they can still do all their stuff. So to prepare for the ever coming channel effects, and I actually notably had a game where someone got me with the Talon Gates of Madara to phase out my own Holy Brewlord, so I lose the convoke ability, and we could talk about that game less than another time. But me adding in some type of redirection effect that I can argue whether it's more powerful than Deflecting Swat. Like, if you're not familiar, the main difference in the words of this spell and Deflecting Swat is that Deflecting Swat can target a Mind Break trap and change all of the targets of the spell to different spells, but on the other end, like, this one can only change a single target. So this is weaker, but really we're trying to use this defensively to say, hey, it's a counter spell, 2-mana counter spell, but it's a 2-mana counter spell, but also because most times we're going to be hard casting this, I also want to be aware that when you Talon Gates me, you Boseiju me, you Otawara me, I want to be able to have some type of response. And because there's so many of our lines include Hoarding Brute-Lord, being able to say, okay, I already have like my Burnt Offering in hand and I'm trying to do some shenanigans, what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go use one Hoarding Brute-Lord to go to get Untimely Malfunction, and the other one to go get the other piece that I needed for whatever combo. And now for the rest of the turn, I'm able to hold up the Untimely Malfunction unless I already had it in hand. So I really love this switch out. And like I said, this actually happened yesterday when I made the switch out. So it's these 2-mana spells, bro. I'm so uncertain about these 2-mana spells. So it's by far like something that's just kind of like, we don't really know what's going on with that, but we'll figure that out. But it's all good. Now, with all that said, thank you all for continuing to watch. I got one more switch out for you all. This is a big one. We took a tutor out of our list, being Diabolic Intent. And if you all saw, we originally were on Grim Tutor for some time. If you have been keeping up with my list online, I've been actively playing with it a lot. And Grim Tutor was phenomenal. But still in that conversation, let's go back to like the truth. Our most impactful card for winning the game was Treasonous Ogre, being 53% of our wins. And so then that comes to the truth of, hey, TTC, you're saying this is the most impactful card. What's the problem then? You're winning 53% of your wins were with Treasonous Ogre in some type of capacity, and the other times you're just hard casting these big spells. Yes, but as I started to play more, and if I didn't have a Necro or an Adnaz or Bolas or Citadel player in the pod, people were pressuring my life totals. Never too much where I couldn't still use Treasonous Ogre, so it wasn't the end of the world. And by the time the game got going, people started to kind of disperse, like, oh, he's the threat, you know, the regular thing that happens in EDH and cEDH. But what I found is something in my gut was saying to me, I need to explore and push my comfortability a little bit more. And I want to add in one more big mana generator. And earlier this week, I decided to take out Diabolic Intent and being Grim Tutor for Jeska's Will. Being this card that originally I was not bullish on because I have my 7-mana commander once again, but what I love about it is the ceiling of the card. The floor of the card is its card advantage, though it's impulsive, and it can like help get out of Treasonous Ogre, so I can turn 3 mana into 4 mana pretty fast, or I can just get out of 1 ring. It's really cute. But the ceiling is with all, like, in my actual game experience, what I found is once I'm winning with the silence effect, my opponents have, or I'm in the middle of a counter war sound effect or not, or a soft sound effect with Veil. My opponents will have so many like cards in hand that, for example, a Jeska's Will can allow me to commit a bunch of mana to protecting my sound effect, and then be at 1, 2, or 3 mana left, and they looking like, well, he can't do that. Then I'll just go, all right, cast a Dark Ritual, and then use my last land to help cast Jeska's Will, shoot me up in red mana, and that can just hard cast my Dragonstorm. That can hard cast my Dracogenesis. Going back to, look, 73% of my win cons were between Dragonstorm and Dracogenesis. So I said, I did add Culling Ritual as support for some more unorthodox wins, not to mention as a board wipe, but I just, some of my gut said, the more my opponents know that I'm playing Treasonous Ogre, I as a pilot need to be prepared in advance for the life total hate. So how can I still get these big spells out with a low amount of mana on my board and my opponent's drawing all these cards? Well, it's saying as simple as 5 mana, which is not a lot. I can cast a Voice of Victory. They draw. I may cast some other spells to give them the draws, but then just finish everything up by Jeska's Will. By then it's too late. They've already committed to those draws. And I make a bunch of red mana, push out the Dracogenesis or Dragonstorm. So this is the one, like, the 2 manas I'm kind of on the wall about. I'm pretty confident that Jeska's Will over the Tutor will be super phenomenal. And with the inclusion of the One Ring and the pivoting of my mulligans to include draw engines when I foresee the game to go a little bit long, really makes me confident to say, hey, I can lose 1 Tutor, get a little bit more card draw, but mainly I just want that big burst of mana, because I want consistency and resiliency when it comes to my list's ability to navigate whatever meta I'm in, or whatever game I am, or whatever knowledge my opponents have, because the word's going to get out. People are going to know that Treasonous Ogre is one of the best, if not the best card in the list. So then I'm not going to take the card out, but I need a way to pivot. So we're using the old noggin here. So with all that said, there has to be pivot points, all that good stuff. So then it's like, all right, T, these are amazing switch outs. So I'm noticing though you took out a lot of interaction. All right, so talk to me about that, TTC. All right, so if you, like we said, we took out Miscast, we took out Abrupt Decay, Guttural Response, Spell Pierce, like we took a Defense Grid, and granted some of them we switched back in for interaction, but T, like, talk to me, dude. Well, this is like a theoretical switch. The idea that I was going for with these is that, do I want to add more interaction, or do I want to add more adaptability? Okay, the intention is, I'm intentionally choosing to run combos and combo enablers that allow me to win through stacks pieces or other problems I may have on board, instead of running more removal for those stacks pieces. An example of this is, originally we couldn't win through Dranith, but now with Dragonstorm, I don't give a if you got a Dranith on board. We'll get into the Dragonstorm lines very shortly, but it's just like, I don't care if you have a Dranith on board. I'm just gonna Treasonous Ogre, Dragonstorm, and unless the combo needs to be a hoarding Brute Lord, I'm able to just go into a silence effect with a storm of 3 is go silence effect into the 3-card dragon combo that just does its full combo off just triggered abilities. You know what I'm saying? So through silence effects, through Dranith. Another one is, we've already talked about in the past, is Gravedigger's Cage. The reason that I'm choosing to run Ward Gorger Dragon plus Miram Sentinel Worm is because I'm like, okay, what do I do through Gravedigger's Cage? Yes, I could run more removal, and I am running more removal, like I talked about Otawara and all those other things, but what if I could just win through Gravedigger's Cage? Do I need to always have the removal piece to move forward? Or do I just find a way to say, fuck your thing, I'm just gonna do infinite flickers instead of just looping through the graveyard? And then you go, all right, we've already talked about, you play a Vexen Bubble, I play a Destiny Spinner. What about your opponents have the One Ring protection, Thassa's Oracle? It leads us to the point where the only troublesome cards is opposition and Aven Mind Sensor, similar to like a Magda or a Sisay deck. But even to that, because we are running the Thassa's Oracle plus Tainted Pact, all we need is patience, plus the ability to say, I'm just going to be patient until I draw the Thassa's Oracle or Tainted Pact, or until our opponents remove it themselves, because we're all trying to tutor. And so the point is, I want to introduce you all to the methodology of you don't always have to have all the answers, okay? You're able to use your words and the strength of your deck building to help navigate situations, and always having a solution to whatever your people, your opponents may have is a lot more times, in my opinion, and I hypothesize, is more powerful than just chucking your list full of ways to remove the problem. Something. How about we try to win through what we see as a problem? Okay, so just want to introduce y'all to that concept. It honestly has really saved me a lot of time in my brewing, where I stopped boggling over how do I make room for more removal without lowering my turbo viability into like, oh, okay, this makes sure my combos can win through it. That's all it is. Oh, Cursed Totem, can't use Treasonous Ogre. Culling Ritual. Like there's so, Jeska's rule. There's so many lines. It just keeps going on and going on, okay? So all of this is phenomenal. Everything is really great. I want to get to like a oopsie to TCC, all right? So before I do, I want to first say once again, thank you all for being amazing. If you're loving this and want to find more ways to support the show, thank you so much. First, check out the TC community. It is a free to join Discord community. Check the link down in the bio. We brew, we talk spoilers, we jam games, we have a fun time. And if you want to knock down that win rate that TCC has of 54%, talk to me. Let's get it. It was 52 to 54, whatever it was. But if you want extra perks like playing our live stream, shouts on our YouTube videos and streams, as well as free proxies and discount codes, check out our TC Thunder Legion Patreon community. These guys are amazing, and they allow me to keep the lights on the way that they could not imagine. Huge shout out to our Jeska tier patron, Sir Trekkie, as well as our Is It tier patrons, Ziggy and the Praetor. And could not forget my mono red tier patrons being Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxon, and B-Rad. These guys rock once again, and y'all keep the lights on. But if you say, AT, I don't want none of that. I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, or the perks. I just want to say one time for the fun time. I just want to just support you just one time. Hey, check the link out in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's get back into it. Like, AT, what do you mean you made an oopsie? What did you do? All right. Well, for this, we are going to go to our handy dandy virtual camera. Okay. TTC's oopsie is he didn't know a combo that he had in his own 99. The combo is this is so funny, and shout out to the Reddit community. After sharing this in the Reddit community, it was brought to my attention that that with Miram, Sentinel Worm, Terror of the Peaks, and Blade Ring Risen, with these dragons alone, you're able to present a combo that goes infinite without any extra looping or any extra shenanigans. It basically says if you have Miram and Terror of the Peaks on the board, once your Terror of the Peaks enters the battlefield, it will trigger three things: itself, Terror of the Peaks, and Miram Sentinel Worm. Okay, so basically say, all right, for sure, like I'll make it, I'll first have its own ETB go off. There's no dragons in the graveyard. That's fine. All right, then you'll have Terror of the Peaks go off. What will I do with that damage? I'll just use the damage to kill the Blade Wing the Risen. And then you'll have Miram Sentinel Worm go off, make a token copy that's not legendary of Blade Wing the Risen, bringing back the original Blade Wing the Risen. This, and also triggering Terror of the Peaks. So then this token copy of Terror of the Peaks will do 4 damage to somebody. And then you'll have the original Blade Wing the Risen coming back, starting the loop over again. ETB fizzle, Terror of the Peaks kills itself, Miram makes another token copy, rinse, wash, and repeat. It is clean, it is simple, it gets the job done. I love it, and I have to give a humongous shout out to the Reddit community, because a brewer literally said like, hey yo, like, can't you just do XYZ 1 2 3? I was like, oh shit, you're right. I could. So I want to get, if you're out there and you're watching this on Twitch or YouTube or wherever you may find this, thank you. You left me with a lot of thoughts, and I just want to say thank you. That was an amazing thing. But with that change, there was the beautiful thing of realizing that we have new combo lines, guys. We have the combo lines that work for the list in a way that we never thought possible. And I just want to start off by just showing you all these new combo lines for this list, and they're super fun, super. Once you kind of get the hang of them, they're super simple to kind of see. And so I'm going to show you all these combo lines in our primer. So if you're ever wondering, like, T, you're saying a lot, where can I go to reference this? Check the primer. Starting off, of course, with our Dragonstorm combo lines. I talked about all the fun, unique things that you can do with this. There's a lot. Okay, so starting off, you can win Dragonstorm with Storm of 1, 2, or 3, and there's different piles for each situation. So starting off with Dragonstorm, if you have Dragonstorm with the Storm of 1, say from casting from a Treasonous Ogre or like a random air enchantment into a Wargorger line, you have infinite mana, but you need a way to just finish off the game, you're able to just get Dragonlord Jamoka plus Hoarding Brute Lord, and then you're able to use, if you have you tap the Treasonous Ogre plus the Dragonlord Jamoka plus the Hoarding Brute Lord to do the Saw and a Half line into Dracogenesis, and then you just get a Burnt Offering into Dracogenesis, and then now you have a protected combo with Dragonlord Jamoka. GG, 1, 2, 3, game is over. Super simple, super clean. Okay, so it's like, okay, so super clean. Okay, you can win with that. All right, I fuck with that. T. What about for a Storm 2? Check it out. All right, with the Dragonstorm with the Storm 2, we have Tear of the Peaks plus Miram plus Blatantly the Risen, or Tear of the Peaks plus Miram plus Wargorger Dragon, or Tear of the Peaks plus Blatantly the Risen plus Hoarding Brute Flight for Saw and a Half to do infinite ETBs with Blatantly the Risen. And the point of basically saying is these are unprotected win lines, but you're able to say I have the original Dragonstorm and get 2 more dragons. I can win with just triggered abilities, and the Tear of the Peaks will always see these infinite ETBs and infinite ETBs the entire time. So Miram with Blatantly the Risen basically stating that creates the combo that we talked about before, and then we have the Miram plus the Wargorger Dragon for infinite ETBs that we talked about in our last deck tech, and then we also have the Hoarding Brute Lord plus Blade Ring. Hoarding Brute Lord, it'll be either getting, it says only Saw and a Half, but you can also get Phyrexian Metamorph to do infinite ETBs and LTBs with Blatantly the Risen, and Tear of the Peaks will see all of them. And so once again, super powerful, gets the job done. You love it, got it, good. All right, now this is the third scenario, is when you need more Storm, because like say if you lose your Dracogenesis and you say, all right, TTC, I lost my Dracogenesis, what do I do now? All right, you can still go from a Hoarding Brute Lord into a Dragonstorm for a minimum of a Storm of 3. So for example, you're going to cast your Reanimation spell or hard cast your Hoarding Brute Lord, then you're going to cast your Saw and a Half, that's 2, and then you're going to cast your Burnt Offering, and then you're going to cast your Dragonstorm. Okay, that will get any 3 to 4 card dragon win con, and it will allow you to be able to go, for example, Blade Wing plus Miram plus Tear of the Peaks with protection. Okay, so the same thing as before, but you get the protection of Dragonlord Jamoka. Or you can go, all right, for sure, what about Miram plus Wargorger Dragon plus Tear of the Peaks plus Dragonlord Jamoka? And the reason this works, even though we lose the Silence effect in the midst of everything, is because once the Wargorger Dragon leaves, like once the ETB of the token Wargorger Dragon leaves the battlefield, you basically have a setup where you're only left with that token Wargorger Dragon. So if I can show a visual representation, you got Miram. Oh, yeah. You got Miram, and then you got Wargorger Dragon. We'll do this. All right. So we got Wargorger Dragon, and we'll use Dragonlord Jamoka as an example. All right. So we're protected by Dragonlord Jamoka. Miram Sentinel Worm is on the battlefield, and then we go, all right, now we get Wargorger Dragon onto the battlefield. When these ETBs trigger, you will stack them, so you'll have the Miram and the Wargorger Dragon to stack. This token will enter first from Miram's ability, and then you'll exile everything on the field. Okay, that will remove this Wargorger Dragon triggering its own thing as well as the protection, and all you'll have left is this token copy of Wargorger Dragon. But then you'll have the leaving trigger from the original go off, and that will leave you with the saying, okay, this will exile this token copy of Wargorger Dragon. And it doesn't matter unless your opponents have a stifle effect. It doesn't matter what they do to that token dragon when you don't have any protection, because the minute this leaves the battlefield, your silence effect comes back, Miram comes back, and Wargorger Dragon comes back, continuing the combo infinitely. So all they can do at this point is either channel to get rid of Miram, which has ward, or the original Wargorger Dragon, or they can stifle effect or while they're doing the Wargorger Dragon combo. So it really puts you in a really unique position. Okay, so I really love these combos. I'm telling you all, just give Dragonstorm a chance. Trust me, just trust me. Give Dragonstorm a chance. It is worth it. It is worth it. It's worth it. And like, if these combo lines have not persuaded you enough, just Just give it a try. Just give it a try. Trust me. All right. All right. So then you say, hey, TTC, what about like your other combos? You're saying we have this new combo finisher with Tear of the Peaks, Mirror and Sentinel Worm, and Bladewing the Risen. What about Dracogenesis and with our Dream Halls, like the those like get updated? Yes, they did. And instead of taking you all through these 16 steps, I'm just going to do a visual representation for you. So it's the same or similar lines per se as before, but just some slight tweaks to the finisher. Okay, so what that looks like is, all right, so what that looks like is, let's just restart the board, move all of this to the library, and we're going to start off the same as before. Like we said, we have a Hoarding Brute Lord on the battlefield. I don't care if you get this in the battlefield with the reanimate effect or whatever, not just you start with the Hoarding Brute Lord. Okay, you have the ETB on the stack. This will go get a Saw in Half, and you need some way to make 2 additional mana to see either you're convoking 2 creatures or you just have the other creatures available to you. So you'll Saw in Half, and you're going to Saw in Half your Brute Lord. So everything seems like normal. You're like, yeah, TTC, like everything seems like it makes sense. Like everything seems like it makes sense. Yeah, we're good. Let's keep going then. All right. You'll have 2 ETBs. Both of these cards will be in our graveyard, and you'll have 2 ETBs go off. You're going to do the same thing as before, and you're going to go get Burnt Offering to get the mana to cast our Dracogenesis. Okay, now in this example, we're acting like Dragonstorm is not available to us. That's the reason we're choosing to go for Dracogenesis instead of a Dragonstorm. And all you will do is you will tap 1 to convoke out this. We're going to just act like it gives us 8 red mana, and then we'll lose this, and we'll lose this to the sack ability to the Burnt Offering, and then we can just use this and convoke it out, going down to 1 red mana remaining. And then we will at that point just go simply like, all right, for sure, I have my Dracogenesis now, and we're chilling. And what that looks like is, at this point, the reason this was so viable and so needed is because before I had to do this convoluted line with Miram and World Gorge Dragon, and like, that's fine. But now that we don't have to put our board under duress, and this was, of course, notably before we added in Phyrexian Metamorph as a backup line with our Bladewing the Risen, but now because we use Saw in Half, we can't do the Bladewing the Risen combo with Saw in Half. So what that looks like is, once we have Dracogenesis on board, we just cast our Tiamat. We get our last 5 dragons in our list, which will be Miram Sentinel Worm. We will go get a World Gorger Dragon, and we will go get a Dragonlord Jamoka, and we will go get a Terror of the Peaks, and then we will go get a, just for the, yep, and get our Bladewing the Risen. So we get these 5 dragons. We will put these 5 dragons into our hand, close and shuffle. And so we'll say in this example, we didn't have a Dragonstorm available to us, as well as Phyrexian Metamorph for some God-given reason is not available to us either. So all we have to do is, same as always, cast your Dragonlord Jamelka for protection, okay? Then you're going to follow that up by casting your Miram Sentinel Worm, all right? Then you're going to follow that up by casting your, excuse me, boop, 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 all right? Then you're going to cast your Tear of the Peaks. This will trigger Miram Sentinel Worm, and then you're going to make a token copy of Tear of Peaks. That will trigger, and you can send that 5 Devils wherever you want. And so now you have 2 Tear of the Peaks in the field, and then you're going to finish that out. You're not going to need World Gorge Dragon, but it doesn't hurt to have a backup line in case your Bladewing gets removed. But you'll have the Bladewing into the battlefield. You'll have the same triggers go off, but you'll have an extra Tear of the Peaks, so you'll be able to loop this to do damage to your opponents and kill the original Bladewing Risen with the token copy, like we said earlier in the combo before. And in some God-given event where they're able to remove the Bladewing the Risen, you still have a World Gorge Dragon in hand to be able to go World Gorge Dragon plus Tear of the Peaks plus Miram Sentinel Worm. Okay, super simple, kind of complicated, but super simple. Good. All right, for sure. So then you say, all right, T, I love that we got like the Dracogenesis line together, but what about Dreamwall? So I'm saying, like, that's the combo where we all get fucked up. So where'd that combo come from? Well, check it out. Don't worry about it. This was a 14-step combo. I'm going to skip a lot. I'm going to take it with you. Not skip. I'm going to go ahead and just walk you through it very quickly, visually, and you'll always have this primer to go check with. We got the virtual, so let's just shuffle it away, restart it, and you say, all right, T, same situation. How do we navigate this? All right, so with this combo line, remember, we always start with the example with, we have Dream Halls in hand, and we have one colored card in hand. We use Ragavan as our one colored card in hand, okay? So for the example, we'll have Dream Halls on the board, and we'll actually move this fun guy over here. And we're going to discard, reminder, if you're not familiar with Dream Halls, what it says is, rather than pay the mana cost for a spell, its controller may discard a card that shares a color with that spell. So we're able to then say, all right, I'm going to discard my Ragavan to cast Tiamat. Tiamat will enter the battlefield, and for this example, we're going to say, in this example, we don't have Saw in Half and we don't have Hoarding Brute Lord available to us. So we're not able to get cheeky with Tutor Chain, or no, we don't have Saw in Half, or God forbid. Hoarding Brute Lord is not available to us. You know what I'm saying? So we can't do any things with Saw in Half plus Blade Within Risen, and Hoarding Brute Lord won't allow us to Tutor Chain. So that means the 5 dragons that will be available to us will be a Miram Sentinel Worm, a Dragon Lord Dramoka, a World Gorger Dragon, and lastly, we will get Terror of the Peaks, and then we're going to Blade Wing the Risen, okay? Okay. And like I said, in this example, usually I will want to get Hoarding Brute Lord, but we're just saying, for example, there's some reason we can't get it. These 5 dragons will get the job done, but if you do have Hoarding Brute Lord, this combo line still works. You can just switch out World Gorger Dragon for Hoarding Brute Lord. So as we continue the combo line, I always try to start this off to say, if you have a white or green card in hand, go ahead and just get your Dragon Lord Jamoka out, but say, hey, no, we only had 1 card left. It was that Ragavan. How do we navigate that? I got you, brother. We'll first cast Mirror Sentinel Worm by discarding our Dragon Lord Jamoka. That will enter the battlefield. Nothing will trigger. We're then going to follow that up by casting our Blade Wing the Risen, discarding our Terror of the Peaks, okay? 2 triggers will go on the stack, 1 for Blade Wing the Risen, 1 for Mirror Sentinel Worm. The first, what we will do is we're going to use Blade Wing. We're going to resolve Blade Wings the Risen's ETB to bring back Terror of the Peaks. Terror of the Peaks will trigger Miram Sentinel Worm, still on top of Miram Sentinel Worm's trigger for Blade Wing the Risen, and it will make a token copy of itself. This token copy entering will trigger the original Terror of the Peaks, and we have 5 damage to send somewhere. Notably, if you don't forget, we have to get our Blade Wing into the graveyard. So we're going to send this Blade Wing to the graveyard, and we just going to make the token copy right now. Boom. We'll send this to the graveyard, and then when all that resolves, we still have a Blade Wing copy that enters the battlefield from the original Miram Sentinel Worm. So then that Blade Wing copy will enter. It will trigger itself, both Terror of the Peaks, and so what it does is we use both Terror of the Peaks triggers to shoot our opponents for 10 damage total, and then it will bring back the original Terror of the Peaks, restarting the loop, doing the doom, dot. But the reason I want to note that we only casting 4 spells is because this only triggers our opponent's Rhystic Studies 4 times. And then after that, we're able to be protected. And if we have to cast more spells or do any other shenanigans, we're protected by a silence effect, okay? But that's if we don't have a white or green card in hand, okay? So this one, I'll admit, it's a little complex. But like I said, pause the video, rewind it back. If there's any time where you're like, hey, T, I was with you, but then I lost you, but then I had you, and then I lost you again. I promise you, it takes a little practice, even for me. But I promise you, over time, it will make sense. It will be able to do its thing, and it will always work. I want to take a little time, though, to really push on 2 important things for Dream Halls. Some additional lessons that I've learned from playing Dream Halls. There are cards that you never want to see. There are cards you never want to see to not have access to while you do the Dream Halls combos, okay? So if we go back to Dream Halls being on the board, we have Dream Halls on board, all right? If you lose access to Blade Wing and or Mirum Centerworm, these combos get extremely difficult. Blade Wing is the big one because it allows loops and brings back the dragons we discard. Mirum is our ability to create token copies of these dragons to start these loops. All three of our Dream Halls combos that we have in our primer need both of these cards, and even though there's universes where you can get away with not having Terror of the Peaks or Dragon Lord Jamoka or Wargorge Dragon or even Hoarding Brute Lord, you can finagle that. These are the two that you really need in your deck. So if you're thinking about pitching either of them to a Chromox or whatever not, be aware that it makes your Dream Hall lines tougher and you'll need more other cards in hand to enable and just start casting these spells. So just be aware of that. The other lesson that I want to be very cognizant about is there's a dragon that you don't want to really have in your hand. It is Hoarding Brute Lord, okay? Hoarding Brute Lord is our most expensive dragon at 8 mana. You could say, hey T, well, why don't you run discard effects? Because I have other reanimation targets for Gorgeous Dragon. But the more the main point of this is, even though it has Convoke, it's still 8 mana. So the reason I want to harp on this is because I actually had a game where I mulled down to 6 and I had a choice between keeping a Terror of the Peaks in hand and a Hoarding Brute Lord. And I chose to keep the Hoarding Brute Lord in hand because it kind of like said, oh, I can maybe hard cast it if I keep drawing mana and keep doing my thing. But that ended up being a mistake because when I went for a Dragonstorm line later on, I was able to bring out Terror of the Peaks and like do all these shenanigans, but one of my opponents had a 1-ring protection on, so I couldn't finish them off, and I had to use a Tainted Pact to get the removal spell to stop my Wargorge Dragon Boot, meaning that I had to get rid of my Thassus in that process and lose my Tainted Pact. So I wasn't able to win right there in the moment. So with that, basically what I'm saying is it put me in a very awkward position where, oh, I wished I put Hoarding Brute Lord at the bottom of my library instead of Terror of the Peaks. And so though it's not the end of the world if you get in your hand, especially now that we have Culling Ritual, know that if you have a choice to mulligan any dragon to the bottom, you're going to want to mulligan this this Hoarding Brute Lord to the bottom. Honest to God, trust me, it will save you games, okay? So, last thing about mulligan strategies, I want to give you all, before we do these playtest ends, I want to just let you all know, thank you again for being an amazing audience. Big thing is, we've brought this up already, but remember that we want to win. Our mulligans are set around having a turbo win with protection, or a hand built around a draw engine to complete a solid hand with like a tutor or a payoff. Like a payoff being like Hoarding Brute Lord or Dragonstorm or Dracogenesis or Dream Halls. And then we have a card draw engine to like help us draw the other pieces, to whether it be mana or whatever, not to complete the hand, okay? But the hand we always want to go for first is for a turbo win, unless we're in a heavy blue pod that's like, this is not the best situation. I'm not really loving this whole thing. So I just want to keep all that aware, okay? I'm going to do some playtest hands, and I want to start off by saying, all right, for show, what is our pod composition? So we'll do a pod composition right here. I'll have my AI generate me a pod. So our first pod it's realistic. We have a Shurikai going first, Shurikai Genesis engine. We have a Tiamat, we're going second. We have Thrasios Tymna going third and Thrasios Tymna going fourth. All right. So our first 7, as we do this, we'll look at the first 7. So our first 7 will be a land, Chromox, land, Dark Ritual, Witchclaw, Untimely, Malfunction, and Tinderwall. I am going second. Can I win sheet 2? Can I win on turn 2? So what I see in this hand is I can spend my turn 1 progressing a Tinderwall and a Chromox. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a 5th mana. And we also have a Dark Ritual right here. Notably being able to play and cast a Witchclaw Talisman in 1 turn. So this is technically a cracked Witchclaw. And this is interesting. It's a turn 3 protected win. That's what this is. This is, we go land, Chromox, turn 2 land, play our Wishclaw. Turn 3, cast a Dark Ritual, crack. Yeah, we cast the Dark Ritual, use 1 mana to crack the Wishclaw Talisman, and then follow that up with having 2 black floating, 2 red floating, and we need both these lands to be able to create green mana. So we probably would get Polluted Delta goes into Tropical Island, and this is a Bloodstained Mires, probably going to get a UC or a Volk, maybe, but yeah, and we'd be able to at that point would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. And so this is us going to a Dream Halls combo, so I'm looking for 1 more colored card and 1 more land. So then we'd have 3 draws to draw 1 more source of mana to be able to hold up the Untimely Malfunction, as well as another colored card to be able to pitch, because if we don't have another colored card, then we wouldn't be able to win Protected on turn 3, because we'd have to discard our Untimely Malfunction. So I love this first 7. Now the thing is though, it's a triple blue plot. We're going second. It's turn 3. This is where I would kind of gauge things out, like how's the mulligans looking, and I would keep it still for his win potential. I'm on turn 3. I've played against a couple mid-range this, but I think a protected turn 3 is cool enough. I kind of fuck with this hand, even though it's like it goes against our rule of like, hey, get the draw engine, but it's like C2 turn 3 protected, especially with an Untimely Malfunction. So it's we can protect our Dream Halls and our spell. So we're hoping to not see too much crazy things, but I think I think this is something I will want to keep. So let's just play test it just to show you all the turbo potential, but maybe we'll keep a more what's it called? We probably can keep a more like draw hand to kind of get that example next. So let's see. Discard. All right. So we will draw 1 for turn. It is a Simian Spirit Pack. Does that change things? Is this a turn 2 win? I think it does, because we go land, Trop for this, and then this is go get a UC. Next turn, go Dark Ritual, play and crack the Wishclaw Talisman, leaving us with 1. Nah, it would still be turn 3, but that is another piece of mana, so we are set up for that turn 3 win. So no, it's not that, but I will start the same. Like I said, we'll play this land, we will crack it, going down to 39. Go get a Trop, because we need that blue source. That's a big thing. Remember, you need that blue source to cast Dream Halls, and it being a double blue is the thing to keep worried about. I know I said I want to get this Chrome Mox out, but right now there's nothing I really will want to get away with this. This is an additional mana source, even though it can be some of the pitch, the Chrome Mox. So I'm just going to make sure I really do a good job shuffling, and I'm just going to go to turn 2. Limdul's Vault is phenomenal. I would love to pitch this. Well, this is actually interesting. I like Limdul's Vault as a tutor that's instant speed and lets us hold up Untimely Malfunction and Limdul's Vault, and it's a pitch spell. Problem is, we'll play our land, of course. The only problem is, quote unquote, is that this gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't even need the Chrome Mox. We can always use Limdul's Vault and also hold up the Untimely Malfunction. And then we can discard the Wishclaw Talisman to cast the Tiamat, and we never have to pitch anything. And then we have the Simian. Oh no! Are we down mana though? Hold on. I think we just hurt ourselves. If we hurt ourselves, if we do that, because we could do 1, 2. We want to hold. The biggest thing is we still want to be able to hold up Untimely Malfunction as an interaction spell. So we need 7 mana on turn 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we go. I think we just still cast Wishclaw Talisman. It would set the alarm bells off, but with an Untimely Malfunction, it would set the alarm bells off, and like it's kind of like it is what it is kind of thing. And we still have Untimely Malfunction up technically by holding up a Simian Spirit Guide plus a what's it called? A Limdul's Vault, and notably we can hold up this fetch for an under city sewers as well. So I like this. What I would do is I'm gonna do this way. I'm gonna Cast Elementals Vault to get our Wishclaw Talisman out. And then I'm going to hold up this fetch for Undercities. I'm going to hold up this fetch for a Undercity Sewer or Underground Sea. If I need to go get an Underground Sea, I can go Simeon to cast my Untimely Malfunction. But say if there's nothing that goes on that I need to use my artifact removal or like something that I need to be able to use my on. I just want the Undercity Sewer is like to kind of surveil and make sure I have a color card on top to make sure I have another spell to discard, because right now I'm going to untap a 6 mana, and I want to use this dark ritual to make it 7-8 mana, because I can go use 1 mana to 6 mana, 7-8, and then go down to 7 mana to hold up protection. So we're just going to act like is the best universe. We crack our fetch to go get an Undercity Sewer. Play it like is so. Shuffle. We'll look at the top card. It is a Necromancer. We love that. We'll just leave that on top. That maybe changes our choice to maybe like, do we want to go maybe do a Hoarding Broodlord instead of a Dream Halls? We could talk about that in a sec, but we'll just draw that for turn. And so now we're in that position where we drew a Necromancy. We have a tutor on board. We could do an Entomb like with the Dark Ritual. So it'd be 3 mana. Like, let's track this out very quickly. It'd be 3 mana, 1, 2, 3 from that, and then we'd also have this land. So then we use 1 to crack the Wish Claw, and then we have 3 black, and then we'd be left with like a blue and a red and a rand from cracking this. And we also have the Simian Spirit Guide. We'd have to use 1 black and 1, 2, 3, 4 for an Entomb in that, and we still need 2 more to hold to do the once we get the Hoarding Broodlord on board, we still need 2 mana to do the Convoke of Saw in half, and then we would still need also 2 mana to hold up to Untimely Malfunction. And so depending on what my opponents get, there's 2 options here. 2. Option A is we go fuck the bullshit. Actually, I love this hand. I just realized I'm not going to go for Dream Halls. I can go for Protected Dream Halls here. What I would do is I'd tap this to crack, to either go get a Dream Halls to win right now if I feel like this is the best time, like everyone's tapped out. But if everyone's holding up mana from me because they're scared of me, I give the Wishclaw Talisman to some player, politic shit out, and just put an Entomb in my hand. Dream Halls for a sorcery speed win, Entomb for an instant speed win, because basically going Dark Ritual into Entomb into Necromancy, not even really needing it, allows me to go hold up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I don't even need to cast Dark Ritual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is enough mana to do Entomb, Necromancy into Wargorger Dragon, and then follow that up with still holding up Untimely Malfunction, because the weakness of Wargorger Dragon is not the counter to the Entomb or the Necromancy. It is people spot removing it with a channel or anything effect to be able to win like that. So this is a clean. In a triple blue pod, I probably would want to hold up a instant speed win, and it has instant speed protection. But like I said, if my opponents are fully tapped out, because say someone tried to win earlier, or say it's just a very weird spot where people are holding up a bunch of mana, I want to allow interactions to start happening. And I have, like I said, an instant speed win. I did notably give somebody a Wishclaw Talisman, so there will be some politics about, hey, like if I give you a Wishclaw, can you give it back or whatever not, or however else I want to politic. Like say if someone has a thing, like can I give you the Wishclaw to go get an answer to them because I don't have an answer best in my list, or whatever BS I want to do. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or I've actually been having this happen to me. People will politic me and I'll let them politic me, where it's like, oh, like they like, AT, if you give me the Wishclaw Talisman, I'll go get an answer to this. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. But if you do that, I want you to give it back to me or some shit like that. So I love this. So once they get the answer, they can start to have some type of counter war. And this leaves me with the like I said, instant speed, protected, big one, protected win with Untimely Malfunction, my retargeting effect. And yeah, this is phenomenal. I love this. But with that said, shit, let's do one more playtest hand. That was a good one. Really good hand. Not a lot of draws, so we got to keep it a stack. We're going to be sitting on those cards. This will be a lot of politics, so it'll be a lot of politics, but we can get through that pretty well. Let's see. Deal a new hand, but we first got to generate a new pod. And so what this pod will be looking like is for pod 2, we are looking at a Sithis Harvest Hand. I don't even know. Is this the enchantment deck guy? Yeah, Sithis Harvest Hand. It is the enchantment guy. We are going second seed again on Tiamat. We have a Timnicron Blue Farm in seed 3, and we have an Ob Nixilis Captive Kingpin in seed 4. We only have one blue opponent. We have a possible stack pieces from seed 1, and we have some possible turbo mid-range shenanigans with Ob Nixilis. And the only blue deck is me and T and K. So then my Brewers advantage is that they don't know what I'm doing. So it is a thing where it's like I'm in the position where like they may try to politic me pregame to say, hey, can you get some interaction from like for the Obnig? And I'm like, hey, bro, I'm just going to see what I can get because my command zone is not as good. So it is what it is. Politics is politics. We're going to see our first 7. It is a Mox Simon, Scolding Tarn, Arcane, Wishclaw. I can already tell you right now with the Hoarding Brute Lord being one of the cards we don't want to see is held, as well as only really one mana source. I don't think this is good for a first keep. So we're going to see a second 7. Our second 7, interesting. Okay, it's closer, but I'm gonna tell you now it's a no, unfortunately. It's a Lotus Petal, Undercity Sewers, Tropical Island, Flusterstorm, Chain of Vapor, Dream Halls, and a Dragon Lord Jamoka. If I could win on turn 2, even unprotected, I would jam this because there's only one blue pair in the pot. The only thing that I would say about this hand is we cannot generate 3 mana, and even though I have the first land being that Undercity Sewers, it's not guaranteed that we hit something explosive. So I could gamble on this hand to get a Mana Vault or a Dark Ritual or whatever not to maybe get into that turn 2 to turn 3 win, but it's too much of a gamble. But I like it. We're in the closer direction, but especially because it's technically a 6 because we have this Dragon Lord Jamoka in hand. I don't love to see that. So we're going to keep it pushing. No hard feelings. Let's go check out a 6. Oh, so this one is interesting. All right. We have an Exotic Orchard. We have a Felder Profane and a Grim Monolith. So we have a turn 2 Grim Monolith. We also have a Vampiric Tutor as well as a Thassa's Oracle, a Ragavan, and a Jeska's Will. Now, this is an interesting hand. Seat 2, Tiange's 3, Ob Nixilis is 4, and we have a Sithis on turn 1. They draw a lot of cards because whenever they cast an enchantment, they gain a life and draw a card. I would keep this 6. Bottoming Thassa's. Oh, do I bottom Thassa's Oracle? Because I can make, or do I? Because I could play a turn 1. No, I can't play a turn 1 Ragavan because my opponent, seat 1 is Sithis. So Ragavan wouldn't be really able to come down. There actually may be a universe where I bottom the Ragavan, but that's my color fixing as well. So I'll tell you all what I'm looking at. I'm seeing a turn 2 Grim Monolith, and depending on how things look, leveraging Jeska's Will on turn 3 to be able to push out a Dracogenesis or a Dragonstorm. So going like upkeep, Vamp Tutor, go get Dragonstorm or Dracogenesis, and then tapping Exotic Orchard and Grim Monolith for Jeska's Will, and that using the last colors in Jeska's Will to push that out. Now, granted, I probably would have to lean on Dragonstorm then because I don't have any protection in hand, but I like this. The last deciding factor would be, do I keep Ragavan or Thassa's Oracle? I say keep Ragavan because it is something that can be turned on turn 1 if our Sithis player plays a 5-color land, or if our opponents play Gemstone Caverns. So I would keep this bottoming Thassa's Oracle. So let's play test this 6 real quick, and I'm going to show you all the TTC flip method, where I get my ironclad playtest from. I'm going to bottom the Thassa's Oracle like we discussed. And as this game starts, like I said, we're seat 2. So I'm going to flip a coin. Tails being the win, heads being a loss. So tails says the Exotic Orchard taps for something or taps for a red. And then heads being it doesn't tap for a red. Okay, so if I draw my first card for turn, it's a Ristic Study. Shit, that kind of changes things a wee bit. That changes things. Honestly, it does. It does. Nah, I don't think it changes things. Well, it's a good pivot plan. I'll say this. Let me take that back. It's a great pivot plan on turn 3. Say if like our Jeska's Will doesn't tap, like doesn't make enough mana, but let's flip our coin to see whether we can make red mana. Can we make red mana? It's a tail, so we're saying, so in some scenario we're able to make red mana. So I think we just start out simple. We just do Exotic Orchard, tap it, push out the Ragavan, and then we just pass. So then we go turn 2. We drew an Undercity Sewers, but we are gonna want to just start off. I like to, before I play a land drop, like I like to get my Ragavan hit out the way, and so I can kind of just see, kind of feel things out. And so what I do in my playtest is I say I roll a d4 and to see who has at least one blocker. If it's a 1, that means my other players don't have any blockers. If it's a 4, that means each one of my opponents have one blocker, and then I re-roll a d4 again to say who's not willing to trade. So who has like an Esper Sentinel or like a Kennen or something that or a Timna that they would not be willing to trade. So I roll a d4 to say who has at least one blocker. It's a 2, meaning they have 2 opponents with no blockers. So I would swing this Ragavan, go get a token, which is a treasure. Boop, 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 boop. And this is a critical point where this would decide what I would do. And this is, I'll actually stop at this point, because I'm going to let you all know what my thought thread is, okay? We have 2 options. As of right now, we have playing Heuristic Study turn 2, which is phenomenal, C2. We can get this down and then still get more treasures with Ragavan, and we can try to win on turn 4 to 5 if we're really seeing things that are crazy. Option 2 would be to get out this Grim Monolith to try to win with the original line, which is upkeep Vampiric and then go into a Jeska's Will, which is huge. This would depend on how I'm feeling from the table. Like if Sithis is doing a lot of drawing, then, or like really just drawing a bunch of cards, turning through their deck, I would think about it, as well as Blue Farm. Like they already got Timna out, they're going to draw a bunch of cards. Like the question is, what is the likelihood that I can, at that point, Jeska's Will makes 8 mana for the 9th mana being a Grim Monolith, you know what I'm saying? And also notably, I do have a treasure, so I just need to make 7 mana, and actually only 6 mana, because I'll make another. I can gamble whether I make 6 mana. So I need this Jeska's Will to make 6 mana plus a color speed 7 plus 2 treasures would be 8/9. So, and notably, my Storm would be 2, so it would be a protected Dragonlord Jamoka Hoarding Brute Lord plus another BS Dragon, which could be Miram. So it'd be like Dragonlord Jamoka, Miram, then get 2 dragons off Hoarding Brute Lord. So this would be gambling point. Like the safe line would be get the Heuristic Study. The unsafe line would be to get the Grim Monolith down and then not give a fuck and then see what we can do. If we just get a Jeska's Will for 6, I think my deciding factor here would be we only need 1 storm to resolve. I mean, we only need 2 storm to resolve, being a storm equals 1, but then our land comes in tapped. This is interesting. I would leave this up to interpretation. I would leave this up to you all to say it's too pod dependent and game state dependent to make a decision, but both options are viable options. I will state though, it would be a turn 3 unprotected win. Remember that. Turn 3 unprotected win would be the thing where because it's unprotected, you have to go get Dragonstorm instead of Dracogenesis, because there's just too much spot removal for the Dracogenesis as well as counter magic for it. So then, like, honestly, let's just play out the beautiful Word Turbo deck. Let's just get a Grim Monolith out. We would untap on our upkeep, and then in the upkeep, in the upkeep I'll do like for example, I'll do a how do I explain this? In the upkeep, I would roll 3 d8s to see how many cards do my opponents have in hand. I do d8 because like it's like if someone discarded down to 7 cards and drew one more off a draw engine. So first d8 would be a 2, one opponent has 2 cards. Second d8 would be a 4, so one opponent only has 4 cards, and then the last one would be a 4. So then this would not be what we need. So it's like, all right, that's fine. Let's not even cast our Vampiric Tutor. Let's just draw for turn then. And we drew a Treasonous Ogre, so that's phenomenal. So then it is, what we would do then is just play our Surveil land, surveil the top card. Oh, so yeah, my bad. It's a Pyroblast. This is phenomenal. All right, so then yeah, this is great. What I would recommend you do this way, this is a protected turn 4, or yeah, now this is a protected turn 4 win. So I would just do Ragavan. How many players have one blocker? Everyone has a blocker. Then I would re-roll the d4 to say, okay, who's not willing to trade? It's a 1. So then we have 3 opponents who would not be willing to trade. Like that's saying like only Sith, this is unblocked or whatever not. So I would just count this as like, I just got to figure out who needs to make it. So I make 1 treasure, and then I would just tap 3, 1, 2, 3, cast that Ristic Study. Then we say, all right, for show, let's roll a d4 to see how many cards you drew. We say you only drew 1 card. That's fine. All we need is a Power Blast. And then we will follow that up by just saying same thing in the upkeep. We got a Vampiric Tutor. All right. Now, once again, variables, I would go Vampiric in the upkeep, and I would just lose 2 life here. I would still recommend we go for the Dragonstorm because it protects itself. But if our life total is too low for one god, whatever God-given reason, just be aware for that. And our Dragonstorm would go with this, and then we would go to our turn 4. This is an and then at that point it's just red plus 3 tree, or no, I'm lying. Always go to combat first. Roll that d4 again. Roll a 2, so then only 2 players have no blockers. We'll make another treasure, and then I'll just do the beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4 for a Treasonous Ogre, and we have 3 mana still up, plus our plus the Dragonstorm, so then that is a storm of 2, and that's GG. Notably, also we could go Jeska's Will to increase the storm to 4 as well, but I probably would not do that just because we already have the protection for it. And no, actually I would say fuck it, go Jeska's Will first. Because there's no, like, we lose nothing by casting our storm spells first, and if our Jeska's Will is countered, we can always just progress the Treasonous Ogre out still, so we can like bait with the Jeska's Will, and if they counter it, we just go Treasonous Ogre, and then we still get the storm plus their storm, and a creature is a creature, so then we get the extra storm from that. So I would say, yeah, go Jeska's Will into Treasonous Ogre, into Dragonstorm, into protected by Power Blast. So then you would need at least 30 life, and because we're not on Adonais and Necro, we can navigate that politics. So with all that said, yeah, that is a very successful win, like turn 4 win, protected. And yeah, I love that we were able to navigate the Jeska's Will of it, like kind of be like, all right, well, like TTC, what does that Jeska's Will look like? And I haven't seen it in a real game, so I'm still so unsure. But I really think there are going to be some explosive games where people are just drawing a bunch of cards and they just sitting there on their fish. They drew a bunch of cards because people got greedy, and then I can just go, all right, Jeska's Will with my Haymaker on turn 2 or turn 3. So like I said, I'm super excited about this this gameplay that we're about to get in. But I just want to say thank you all for being amazing. And so with that said, before I let you all go, y'all know how I get down. If you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Starting off with our TC community, it is free to join. Check the link out in the bio. You are able to jam games, talk about your new brews, as well as talk about these amazing spoilers, because shit, we getting a lot of products, so let's discuss it. Let's have a good talk. But if you want more perks like playing on our live streams, shouts on our YouTube videos and streams, as well as free proxy and discount codes, check out the link in the bio to join our TC Thunder Legion Patreon. Like always, huge shout out to our patrons: Jeskai tier, Sir Trekkie, Is It tier, Ziggy and the Praetor and Mono Red tier, Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxton, and B-Rad. And last but not least, you said, hey T, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, the perks. I just want one more way to support you. Check the link out in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that being said, y'all be easy. Oh, and don't forget, if you're looking for some more help to be able to both brew, innovate, and push your own Tiamat list, check the link out the bio to get some coaching from me. But with that being said, y'all be easy. I'll see y'all later. Peace.